What's up, everybody? So, wanted to jump on real quick because I see Twitter's going up about this situation at Fisk University, and first, let me talk about that real quick. It's a sad situation for that campus, for that president, for the leadership. You hate to see it is the least that you can say. That kind of controversy is embroiled at a campus at a time like this. But I want to speak to something a little different about this subject because as I go down the timeline and look at what everybody is saying about it, particularly on Fisk, looking at the Fisk students' reaction to this, the one interesting thing about it is that you see a lot of the brothers and sisters on Fisk Twitter talking about, well, serves the university right because we can't get right on rape and rape culture and sexual assault here on campus. And I'm like, that's interesting. So a conversation about sex and leadership is leading to a conversation or a different conversation on how the campus addresses sexual assault and rape on campus. Okay, let's note that. Then, when this broke a little bit earlier, I got texts from presidents, and one is a brother, one is a sister, and the first thing that occurred to them, or the first thing that they mentioned was, this is the second time that something like this has happened in recent months at an HBCU. And this absolutely could not go down like this or be as received if this was a black woman involved in the same kind of controversy. And it's like, okay, let's make a note of that. Yes, it's absolutely unfair, unbalanced, rigged against sisters in leadership at HBCUs. But I think that this opens up to a larger conversation about the way that HBCUs have to adjust to the ways that we consider the layers, the dynamics of black women on campus. Even in 2020, pandemic aside, all of that, we are having the most difficult time embracing black women as multi-layered, multifaceted human beings. Anytime that any kind of scandal erupts, and the first thing we say is this wouldn't even be equitable for a sister in leadership, or this is disproportionate coverage to things that happen to black women on campus. This is a reflection of us not treating sisters with humanity on campus at any level, at the from presidents on down to students. Black women and black men are saying the campuses aren't doing an effective job at receiving women as humans and treating them with dignity and with equity. So this is a thing we got to address, and I think that we've talked about it. It's spiked in certain cases. When you see stuff in the news, you see BuzzFeed, you see stories like the New York Times, it comes up, it always, an HBCU is not addressing rape culture, an HBCU is not addressing rape culture. Well, it might, and I hate to say it, I don't want to make light of that because that's serious, and that's something every institution has to take a public safety, a socioeconomic, a sociopolitical stand against, and educating all people on campus about rape culture, about sexual assault, about the reporting and the consent process. We got to do a better institutional job of that. But I think that the culture at large has a larger responsibility to think of the way that we just got to look at sisters as humans, man. It can't be, people are hitting your phone saying this could not be a sister, or this is disproportionate coverage as opposed to what we get for rapes that take place on campus. And we're not looking at the underlying theme of women don't get the the humane treatment that they deserve. And we got to do a better job of just saying that what women think, the support that sisters need, is the same as all people need. They aren't super Negroes. They don't need anything expert. They don't need anything extra. They just got to be treated as human beings. And I think that we tend to look at, because we're outnumbered on campuses by women, men that is, that women have embraced more leadership roles on our campuses, that we're applying that super Negro mantra to them. Well, it ain't that bad, because if it is that bad, it wouldn't be so many of y'all here. If it was that bad, it wouldn't be a situation where, everybody wouldn't be claiming this. Well, what did she do to cause a rape or to cause a sexual assault? What did she have on? Why was she over there? Was she drinking? Those are themes that we're still dealing with on campuses. When you take it to the presidential level, how often does she smile? How nice is she to people on the board? How well does she treat people on her staff and people on her cabinet? We don't really say. I mean, sometimes we call brothers assholes and all that, but it's so far more prevalent for the sisters. We're not really treating our black women with humanity, and the thing is, I'm guilty of it too, man. I'm not holier than thou. I'm guilty of it too, from a young man to an older man. When you hear things about sexual assault, when you hear things about these different cases, I'm not sure. Well, what was the situation with her? What's her responsibility? That's not humanity. We got to get out of that. We got to deprogram ourselves out of that kind of thinking, man. We got to deprogram ourselves out of, she's not really nice to people. How effective of a leader is she? She looking good in that dress, and all these other things that have nothing to do with your ability to lead an institution or to lead people or to develop a campus. We have to do better than that. We have to look for ways to explore humanity for women on our campuses, particularly for black women, in the academic arena, in the social arena, in the leadership arena, in the athletics arena, in all places. We got to stop looking for opportunities to marginalize sisters or to justify it, and look for ways that, hey, how can we change our thinking? How can we change our policies? How can we change our culture and be more welcoming of the identities, the dynamicism, the complexities, the differences of women? Because truth be told, we're not going to make it. If we keep pushing sisters away, if we keep pushing black women away, we're not going to make it. The numbers dictate we won't do well. We need them. We need sisters on campus. We need sisters to lead. We need sisters to mentor, men and women, not just women. We need sisters to fill these critical roles and bring their talent and bring their brain to the HBCU campus, so that we'll have a chance to survive and to thrive 50, 100 years from now. Not doing that is cutting a critical talent base. And I don't know how you have a culture where 70, 80% of your women are your graduates, substantial part of your alumni base, and we're still struggling to treat them with dignity and equity, as if they don't control most of the money that we get from tuition revenue, from alumni giving, as if AKs and Deltas, Zetas and Sigma Gamma Rhos don't cut checks to our institutions in a significant way. We just have to have a different approach to the way that we are embracing sisters on our campus. And it's so funny that this situation is coming up, and that the way that we're treating women is coming up, because we're dealing with this thing, with the Cardi B and the Meg Thee Stallion song. And people are having different reactions to that content. A lot of us are embracing it. A lot of sisters are saying it's a damn shame that these songs drop, and there will be no homecoming this fall for us to rock to. But it's the same principle. Brothers have been rapping about that same stuff for more than a generation. And as soon as women are empowered to have the same kind of theme, the same kind of talent, the same kind of delivery, the same kind of exposure, it's like, oh man, this is a little too explicit. How? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just that we don't view women as the kind of people who should be allowed publicly to have that kind of discourse. And if anybody should have that discourse, it's them. Because usually sexuality, women are at the center of it. So how come women can't be at the center of launching the conversation? Why do they got to be the object of the conversation? And when you talk about those two artists in particular, Meg is an HBCU student. If anybody should be defending her, it's the HBCU community. Cardi has been at how many of our homecomings? If anybody should be defending her, it's the HBCU community. Yet we're still so focused on, think peace and, let's break this down. Nah, let's just keep it real simple, bro. Are we there for women or not? Are we respecting the sisters or not? And again, I'll reiterate, I haven't always done it well. I know very few brothers that have. And all we can do is to admit openly, we got to do better. We have to apologize. We gotta think differently. We gotta act differently. We gotta feel differently. And we got to explore the fact that sisters can do more than one thing at a time. And sisters can have an attitude and not be a bitch and not be mean. They could just be about their business. It's not to say that women can't be as off-putting as men. It is not to make it out like it's a different situation with men. We just got to get out of this default thinking that they're different from men and that there's no complexity to their personalities. Like there's no such thing as a bad day. That every time you catch them in a moment or in a scenario that you don't like, that's an indictment of their character. That's an indictment of their ability to lead. Every time you hear them make a joke, a sexual joke or wearing something that you might describe as sexually provocative, they're not a hoe. They're not looking for attention. They're not trying to make the workplace sexually charged. These are things that we just gotta deprogram on the campus, man. And we can't leave all this up to Spelman College. We can't leave all the scholarship on black women in identity, in sexuality, in politics, in business, in society. That Spelman can't carry it for the whole sector. All of us got to do their work. All of us are serving the interests of black women. All of us are serving the interests of women who help run these communities. So we have to really take up a mantle of leadership on saying, here's the way that we embrace black women. We embrace their sexuality. We embrace their differences. We embrace their leadership style. We embrace their personalities, and we acknowledge that they are human. They are apt for success and prone to failure, just like brothers. And that every time that there is something that happens on campus, that we don't look to seek blame, or we don't seek to assign responsibility to the sister automatically. There should never be a time where we're having a scandal or some kind of issue on a campus and the students feel compelled to say, by the way, y'all are paying attention to that, pay attention to the rapes that happen here. That should be getting coverage. That should be getting discussed. We should think about the ways that the federal government is changing the rules on sexual assault reporting. We got to have real conversations, but it starts with the fact that we have to acknowledge we are not giving our sisters the benefit of equality. We are not acknowledging their humanity. They can't joke like brothers. They can't dress like brothers. They can't do any of the things that brothers are allowed to do in the workplace. Any of the things of the self-expression we're allowed to have in our personality, because if they do it, it's an indictment of or a referendum on their ability to lead or their ability to contribute to the culture. And so, and we're seeing it in so many ways. So I'm just hoping that, at some point, even though we're not going back to campus in full numbers, even though the academic environment is going to look dramatically different, even though the social environment is going to look very different, that the brothers, from students, faculty, staff, all the way up to presidents, provosts, chancellors, system presidents, board members, that we take the opportunity to say, individually and collectively, what can I do to prime myself to recognize that a woman is just like me, that a woman is no better or worse than me, but that I have to make the effort to make that outwardly known and make that outwardly comfortable, so that you don't have situations where women have to wonder, are you doing that because I'm a sister? Are you doing that because I'm a woman? Are you saying that? Is that how my evaluation reads because I'm a woman? Especially at HBCUs. We ought to be the first. We ought to be the first. If we're the sector that is giving more black women opportunity to lead colleges and universities, we can't be the same sector that fires them at this exponential rate. That is alarming. If we're going to be the place that we say we cultivate and nurture black students, and then turn around and sisters are taking all the opportunities to say we have a problem here with rape and rape culture. You can't allow that to happen. Two things can be true at one time, but not these two things. Not with our numbers, not with our culture, and not with the things that we're claiming to be. So I'm just hoping that we can take the opportunity to look at what's happening on campus, to listen to our students and our alumni, to look at what's happening even in hip hop culture with Cardi and Meg, and saying, yo, man, we got a real damn problem here. And that, brothers, it's not Hotep, to admit, we got to reprogram our thinking. We're not less of men to say that, we're on the side of women. Just like we're not less when we say we're on the side of black folks. Or we're not less when we say we're on the side of LGBTQ brothers and sisters. You're just sticking up for your people. You're sticking up for people who are just like you and want to have a shot at equity and equality and just being comfortable in life, man. Just having an opportunity to be themselves and not have to worry about every step they take on the campus, every move they make in the culture is going to be dictated by the interpretation of them because of their gender or because of their sexuality. And so, I know this is a lot of preaching, but I'm hoping that, you guys can talk back, that this becomes a conversation in the social media space, in the classroom, on Zoom. What are the ways that the HBCU community, both individually as people, individually as institutions, and collectively as a whole 100 school strong culture, what are the things that we can do to emphasize the fact that women are multi-layered people? They get mad, they get pissed off, they want sex, they get hungry, they get tired. They're human. And everything that they do as an expression of their humanity is not an indictment of their leadership capability or their intellectual capacity. And for us to have a situation at FIS, a sex scandal of sorts, second one in a lot of months at HBCUs, that this is the second time that I've seen students, brothers and sisters, mostly sisters, but brothers and sisters, taking the opportunity to say, can we talk about rape culture now? Yes, we can. And I think that part of that conversation on rape culture starts with the conversation on looking at sisters, looking at women from the president all the way down to the first year student at a campus as a human being, man. So, I appreciate you guys giving me the time, and looking forward to the next conversation. Peace.